Since 2012, Global Citizen has combined pop and policy alongside the world's biggest artists to drive global action towards the eradication of extreme poverty once and for all. Over the decade, Global Citizens have taken over 33 million actions, showing how music and policy can come together to make a real difference in communities around the world, now impacting the lives of over 1.29 billion people. One of our most passionate ambassadors is singer and songwriter Charlie Puth. Charlie has supported Global Citizen since 2017, using his platform to drive action for global health and the impact of gun violence. That first year he worked with us, Charlie presented $10,000 grant awards to 3 entrepreneurs solving the world's most pressing challenges at the Global Citizen Accelerator Series. He also performed at Global Citizen Festival in Central Park. He was one of the first people to support our efforts to get critical PPE into the hands of community healthcare workers during the COVID-19 pandemic. And he also joined us on stage in Paris for Global Citizen Live. And today, he's joining us live from Los Angeles. I'd like to invite audience members to ask a question of Charlie. To do that, just scan the QR code that's going to be on the screen right now, and you can submit your questions, so take a quick photo in the next 10 minutes. Charlie, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us live from Los Angeles.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Hello, Hugh.
Great to see you. Charlie, at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, you joined us for One World Together at Home, the virtual concert series in March of 2020. And then in 2021, you again took the stage alongside Sir Elton John for Global Citizen in Paris. Can you talk a little bit about why you think music and the arts is such an important force in driving social change?
It might sound very musician-y of me, and I'm totally aware that there is a delay, and it's like I'm hearing my voice 5 times, but that's what happens when you're halfway across the world, or across the world. I think it's some of the most impactful messages can be impactful, but when there's melody attached to them, and even just imagine there's no heaven. If you could say imagine there's no heaven, but when you put a C major chord, imagine there's no heaven, it tends to have a broader spread to everybody. People who might not even speak English will hear that melody and kind of know what the artist or the performer is saying, in this case, John Lennon. So that's why I strive every day to make universal sounding music that has a fun message, a message that I feel is important for the world. That's why the melody is just as important as the words.
Wow. I've got to say, I could listen to Charlie perform that all day long. That was extraordinary. Thank you, Charlie. A lot of the discussion we're having this week in Melbourne is around the climate and the importance of protecting our natural world. You had a very successful 2-month tour around this region last year, and you've performed all across the globe. How has this impacted the way you see the world, and can you share some reflections on the importance of protecting our planet?
Well, first of all, it's a pleasure of mine to see the world. Right when I start to think that I've seen everything, and I've been to, in the past, well, last year I was in Vietnam, and I was at the Gold Coast for the first time. And by the way, it reminds me of my hometown of New Jersey, where I grew up, because I grew up on the ocean. And just being able to get off a very, very long flight and put my feet in the sand, I can kind of hear all the music going to my head, and music affects me very viscerally. And I realize that I'm very lucky. There's not a ton of people who get to see the things that I see. That's why I try and bottle up the experiences and put them into the music. And I think it's very important. Obviously, the whole point about today is to talk about how important our planet is in preserving its beauty, and I selfishly want to keep it in a healthy state because I have a lot of music to make about it, and I want people to hear it.
So, Charlie, Global Citizen Now Melbourne is celebrating the work of 32 youth leaders who are incredible change makers in their own right. From youth leaders focused on carbon reduction through to sustainable fashion, their work is already having a huge impact on our planet. What advice do you have for young people starting out who want to make a difference on our planet and in our world?
Well, I mean, first of all, Hugh, I got here about 40 minutes ago, and just listening to this, and as I'm spinning 15 different plates and making an album, whatever, it just reminds me of that stuff is not as important as the planet that we're on right now. I'm not able to do my job without being inspired by the planet that we're on. So I'm very inspired by everybody today. I mean, and you gotta pardon me if I'm not pronouncing some of these names correctly, but Lester D. Soya from the Philippines, where I didn't go to the Philippines this year, but I've been to the Philippines. I've had some of my most successful, fun shows in the Philippines, working on sustainable fashion. Dave Rubite from Australia, working on reducing carbon emissions of businesses and NGOs. It's just, it's mind-blowing to me. There's Alicia Tian from Malaysia. I've been to Malaysia. I love Malaysia. I love my Malaysian fans. Working on driving the green transition across Southeast Asia. It's inspiring for me, and I'm a broken record, but I just want to make music for all of them so they can continue to be inspired. And I guess my advice would be to all the activists out there is to start within your own community, because you don't even know how much help it may need. Again, what he was saying before, be the bridge. I thought that was very powerful, be the bridge, because there's a lot of division right now, and it would be nice to see everybody come together.
Hear, hear. Hear, hear. Charlie, at the start of this session, we invited audience members to ask you a question. We have a few questions that have come in the last 10 minutes. Brian from St Kilda would like to know, who is an artist that you would most like to collaborate with?
An artist that I'd most like to collaborate with is Sir Paul McCartney, because I haven't collaborated with him yet. My answer used to be Sir Elton John, and as you said before, Hugh, I got to perform with him in France at the Global Citizen stage, which was top 10 goosebumps on my arm night. That was wonderful. But Elton is still amazing. He's a dear friend of mine now ever since then, and I'm just been so fascinated by how Paul, his work in Wings and the Beatles, has always implemented classical music into his pop music.
And then another question has come in from Verity from Avalon. Verity wants to know, Charlie, if you weren't a musician, what would you be?
If I weren't a musician, I'd probably be a teacher. And I think teachers are heavily unappreciated, especially in the United States. For whatever reason, I don't understand. I see whenever I'm on any certain video scrolling sites and I see like an argument between someone disrespecting a teacher, it's just that person is taking the time out of their day to impart wisdom onto you, take their life's knowledge and things that they've learned over the years and try and break it down in a way for a different person to learn. So I have so much respect for teachers, and especially teachers of the arts. When you go into Sweden, it's not to, but when you go into Sweden, they start their day with music, and then everything else is supplemented into it. And it kind of makes everyone's day better when you just have a good day with a teacher. So I still think in a way I could be a teacher. I go on TikTok and break down little beats and whatever. It's, of course, to promote a song, but it's really for inspiring the youth and people who might not even have thought that they could ever do music.
Thank you for saying that. I think we would all agree in this room that the power of teachers and education writ large is critical to the eradication of extreme poverty. And with that, Charlie, I understand that
Absolutely.
you have a very special performance to us. You mentioned what you do on TikTok. I think we all find that pretty remarkable to watch. And I understand you have something very special for us today. But before you do, can everyone join me in giving Charlie the most huge round of applause?
Stop. Thank you. I really appreciate you having me. I really, really do.
Over to you.